I think Councilman Mechanico and Councilman Warback were talking about it before the meeting, and that's coming back at the next meeting, right? Yeah.
We reached an agreement. I think it'll be
Good.
favorable for you. I just have one sheet of it and something.
Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. The next thing on the agenda is the JFK 50th Anniversary Award. January 20th of this past week was the 50th, I can't believe it, anniversary of JFK's inauguration. I can't believe it's 50 years, and I remember very clearly. And the Mayor's Association, the National Mayor's Association, asked mayors to submit a name and to plan to go to the school, a grammar school near you, to talk to a class about, as mayor, like why are you doing what you do for your community, and trying to encourage that class to do things for the community. And they also asked that we would choose one person under the age of like 25 or so, who is very active in the community, who does a lot for the community. And I asked a lot of people about this, and I was given a name of a young man in our community, and we presented him with the award on the 20th. However, the actual award was being signed by Carolyn Kennedy that night, and his plaque or award, whatever they're sending him, is coming after she signs it. She hasn't signed any of them, and I'm going to ask him to come, and we'll present it to him at the council, at a council meeting. But we chose someone who has been extremely active in town, and well, I'll reveal his name once we actually get the plaque, okay? And we'll present it to him. It's a really nice award, and he's done a lot of work for the town. Do you think it matters if we say, oh, Joe, what's his last name? And he's really done a lot. He comes out for everything. He volunteers at Little League. He is on the fire department. He does everything. And so Joey told me, yes, you agree? Yeah, he's done a lot of good work, and we're going to be presenting him with the actual award here. But we did go over to the school, and this mayor's committee sent a video for the children to watch, and it talked about JFK and how he said, ask not what your country can do for you, what can you do for your country, and asked what can the children, try to encourage them, as Joey does, to come out and do some work for the community. So I think it's a really good thing. It's a nice young man. I brought up the fee ordinance because we really need to get going on that. Do we have any Finance Committee or anyone?
I thought we just passed it.
Okay, it's legislative? Okay, but we need to get, we passed a very small piece of the fee ordinance. We have the whole thing to do, and it hasn't been done. We've been talking about it for 2 years. The next two things on here, the refuse containers and the private storm drain ordinances, we can't do until we have a fee ordinance which tells us, how much we can fine people if they don't, put garbage in a container and that sort of thing.
I don't know if the fee ordinance and the penalty ordinance would be the same thing.
Pardon?
I agree. I think, Mayor, I don't think we need to necessarily specify a fine for violations of this private storm drain in that retrofitting.
Well, in it
because there's a catch-all provision in our ordinance book that says violation of any ordinance carries with a potential fine or X.
Well, in the private storm inlet, there's a section here, and it's on page 3, section 6.
right.
You can insert the amount. As a general rule today, this is a not to exceed. The statute, the empowering state statute now is $2,500. But that's not to exceed. That's the maximum you can charge, and I would encourage to put the maximum, because it's not like these are written every day. And, but usually when it's written, there's been a lot of discussion ahead of time. Usually someone who's not doing this is doing it intentionally. They know the right thing, and they're just trying to. And usually this would be caught by, so many.
We
so
just
many
got
years.
these, both of these, and we're told we have to pass them. But my concern was about putting an amount in.
Well, I would just think on section 6, I would add $2,500 and
Not to
not to
exceed.
exceed $2,500, which is your statutory maximum, and leave it at there, otherwise.
And then we could pass them tonight, because we don't have a choice. This is coming, I think, Artie from the state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stormwater regs.
Yeah,
I
sure.
would say you could introduce the one.
What would be an example of a private citizen discharging something into a
Apartment complex, when they redo their parking lot or a shopping plaza. The rules that we live under now, every time we redo a street and we come into contact with a catch basin, you have to bring it up. So no floatables can go in, you have to put the emblem on it for the streams to the water. It's pretty simple, but you have to take care of it when you're doing work where you run into them.
And when you damage the curb and you gotta replace the curb with the sidewalk, you gotta put in a compliant drain to prevent these things from going. And there's the ones for private lots now, like to catch oil, and a whole bunch of things. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, they can go up, but this is mostly just to bring them up the code, and they're now extending it to the private sector. And it's gonna be a tool for the planning board to encourage them to do it at the planning stage.
All right, then we could pass them tonight. Then
You can introduce
ordinance,
the vote, actually.
yeah, but refuse containers and dumpsters, could we call that ordinance number 1, 2011, Janine? And the private storm drain inlet retrofitting ordinance number 2, 2011. May I have a motion, please, for the ordinance number 1, 2011?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? May I have a roll call, Janine?
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanico?
Yes.
Mr. Vorback?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 2, 2011, private storm drain inlet retrofitting. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? May I have a roll call?
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanico?
Yes.
Mr. Vorback?
Yes.
And before publication, we just put the $2,500 in there, not to
Be
exceed,
for both.
before we,
Right.
trust me, they've been published before, they say kids are around.
That was the first reading. Okay, council committee reports. Councilman Brennan.
Yes, as Buildings and Grounds Chair, I have been busy at work at your request, Your Honor, at looking at our telephone bill. Right now, we have a third-party telephone company that essentially runs our Verizon lines, and we're paying approximately $2,000 a month. We have approximately 40 telephone lines which service a lot of the lines are for fax machines, for dedicated lines, for fire alarms. We have a little thing, we have a little trip wire here that if the mayor or the judge, when the judge is in session, the court's in session, can trip a little wire and there's an alarm if they feel threatened. So there's a lot of different uses for these telephone lines. Mayor thought that this might be an area we could find some savings if we move to a cable company, because cable companies now have the capacity due to fiber optics to run landlines, telephone lines, and they do it at a flat fee, which is dramatically less than the telephone companies charge. I've spoken to, with the mayor, I spoke to some sales representatives from our cable company, which is Cablevision, who are currently providing us with modem service to three of our buildings already. And they came up with a proposal which needs to be refined, but essentially it's going to cut our telephone bill in half. So we could save about $12,000 a year.
Is that still a resale of the Verizon lines
No, that would be,
or direct?
excuse me?
Is it direct with Verizon or a
No,
resale?
no, it's going to be through, they'll be able to jump the phone numbers, carry the phone, they're called porting the phone numbers, so none of the phone numbers will change. There's just some technical issues with respect to, for instance, there's some state standards. I found out today, because, first of all, I had to do an inventory of all the phone lines, because we have a lot of phone lines that our bills reflect are not having any usage by way of telephone calls. But that doesn't mean that they're not necessary, because they could be used for instance, we have a fire alarm at the community center, which according to state code requires